Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk tank review, something special, something brand new to World of Tanks. A premium tank. Well, you might say that's not new, but this is a Tier 9 premium tank, my friends, in case you haven't heard, or you've been living under the Watt Rock, or in a cave, or some such thing, or you just don't really pay that much attention unless you watch my videos. We have a Tier 9 premium in the game, a Tier 9 Swedish heavy tank. The Strv K, it's a heavy tank. You might look at that and say, well, gee, that looks like a medium tank. Well, it's got a Centurion turret and a Kronvagn hull. This is a collaboration with the band Sabaton, which is a Swedish heavy metal band. Much like The Offspring, however, we're not able to use any of their music in our CC videos, but you will see a custom song, I guess, a collaboration with World of Tanks, a new release by the band. You can check that out. It's on the website. I'm not going to link it because we're not allowed to use their music. You know my opinion of that. You know my opinion of that. But anyway, some of you may like Sabaton, so you might be in the market for this. Very interesting. We are going to save the Tier 9 premium discussion for another time. The too long didn't read or too long didn't watch version of it, for me personally, is whatever. I'll just leave it at that. Whatever. Here it is. We have a Tier 9 premium in the game. It is a collab with Sabaton. It is a heavy Swedish tank. It makes credits and extra experience. All right. Unlike the other Tier 9s that are reward tanks, the Char Futur, or in the case of the heavies, the AE Phase 1 and the 777, they only make extra credits. This bad boy makes extra, they only make extra experience. This bad boy makes extra credits. Break. One other special thing that it has is it makes bonds, my friends. You will see that I have currently made, actually, I have my 100 bonds. So you can see my limit we reset at the end of the week. So I've made 100 bonds in this thing in 20 battles. Let's do the review. We're going to do an overview, tech tree, considerations for the tank, the 3 model. Look at a comparison, which is going to be really interesting because it's kind of a medium tank that's been turned into a heavy tank that lives between Tier 8 and 9. We'll talk about that as we go. Look at my stats, playing at my setup, and then some examples of gameplay for how you might want to try to play the Stridsvagn K Tier 9 Swedish heavy premium, first of its kind. Is there more to come? I don't know. All right, we'll start though with the fact that you can get it free if you're willing to play a bunch. All right, most people are going to probably play for a discount. Where are you going to find this? You're going to go to missions. You're going to press Spirit of War, which is over on the left. You'll see it is now up. It is going to start August 27th. That is today. That is today at 0900 Central. The time should be correct in your own client for your local time. You will see that it has 10 levels or phases or stages. There you go. When you finish the stage, you're going to get a discount. So when you finish stage 1, you'll get a 10% all the way up to free if you finish stage 10. Quick math. This is exactly like the rest of them, but it is a little bit longer because it requires a little bit more experience. There are missions for mastery, like there have been for the last 5 or 6 of these. Missions for commitment. Missions for commitment are going to be experience, and it is 262,000 experience to get it for free. Meaning that if you are averaging 1,000 experience, and this is base, that is not easy to do, my friends. But if you were able to do that, you would get it in 262 battles. Let's say you're more average, and you average 500 experience a battle. Also not that easy. You're now looking at 524 math in public, 524 games in 10 days. 524 divided by 10 is about 52 games a day. 52 games a day. You can do it for mastery. So there are other missions. You may be able to skip some of these depending on how good you are at the game. For example, for stage 1, earn the high caliber, available only to Tier 9 and 10 vehicles. So the missions for mastery are Tier 9 and 10. Mission for commitment are Tier 6 and up. Very interesting. So most people will be playing for some kind of discount. I do not have any information on the cost. I am assuming that you will see that as soon as this comes up later today at 0900 when it goes into the store. They put the tank on the shelf, and you can go into the store, pull it off the shelf, and put it in your garage if you don't want to go through all of this grind. If I was to hazard a guess, it's going to be a package, and it could be upwards to $100. Somewhere between 80 to 100 would be my guess. Based on other packages, maybe slightly more. Remember, it is a tier 9. It does make bonds, so I'm assuming they're going to price this higher than a tier 8 premium has been in the past. And the packages have been 60 to 70, I want to say, in the past for these kinds of marathons. Very interesting that it is going to be a marathon, in my opinion, because that means some of the tanks will go out the door for free, and I'm assuming that based on whatever the contract is, Sabaton's making money off of this thing somehow. Whether it's per tank that's sold or what, I don't know. But anyway, that's all in the background. All we care about here is playing some tanks and driving some pixels around and blowing some things up, and that is how you're going to get the Strv. You're going to buy it the first day, or you're going to work through as much of the marathon as you can, get a discount of some kind, pull the trigger, or you're just going to play the game and ignore it. So there's all kinds of options. There's all kinds of options. Let's look at a quick overview of the tank. Okay, my friends, it is a versatile heavy tank. Remember, it's a heavy tank. This is very strange. It is a medium tank in most respects. It looks like a Centurion, but it does have the turret plopped onto the Kranvagn hull, which is not a great heavy tank hull to begin with. In the mid-1950s, Sweden purchased some Centurion Mark III tanks from the United Kingdom at the same time. It was developing its own KRV program. Then they decided to put the Centurion chassis on the Mark X onto the hull that they had, the KRV chassis, Kranvagn, I'm assuming it was, but the project was disconnected, and Sweden continued to purchase British vehicles. So it looks like it was created, right? It was a prototype of some kind. How far along they got, I don't know, but they went ahead and stuck with British tanks afterwards. So we take a look at this tank, and there's the Kranvagn kind of front curved hull right there. If we click to the Kran and see that, we've got basically the same hull going on right here between the two tanks. But it's got a Centurion turret, fairly accurate Centurion gun, relatively mid-mounted, slightly forward on the turret. The hull armor is very thin. It does have a big lower plate that's fairly easy to hit, but overall as a heavy tank, it's quite small. Quite small, and it's an interesting thing. We're going to talk about this quite a bit as we go through the review, how this is a medium tank that they sort of turned into a heavy. My assumption here is that there's already the Primo Victoria at tier 8 with the same band members in it. I don't know what happens if the two crews get together. Maybe there's a space-time continuum kind of problem. I don't know if they fight in the barracks, or if maybe some of them are clones potentially, or from another universe. It's hard to tell. You know, you're just going to have to, that's something you have to deal with if you have the Primo Victoria. Anyway, it's a medium that's been turned into a heavy, and frankly, it doesn't really do either one very well. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that. All right, let's take a look at the tech tree considerations for this tank. You may note that there are 5 crew members in this band. Actually, there's 6. There's like this hardcore metal cellist lady in the band now, at least in the last video, but she didn't get a seat at the table here, so I don't know if she's a new band member. Maybe some of you Sabaton fans could fill us in down in the comments what's going on with that. But in any event, she did not make the crew, but there are 5 crew, which means there's a dedicated radio operator. Ow. It's just one of those things. Because of the collab, they had to include all the band members, minus the rockin' cellist right there. That being said, when we get to the tech tree, as you know, these other tanks, the Emil and such, these are auto loaders. They only have 3 crew. They only have 3. So as a crew trainer for the Swedish heavies, remember it's a heavy, not a medium, right? It's a heavy, not a medium. So if you're going to move crews over to your Emil 2 or Kran, there's going to be only 3 crew members. A problem with that is now your commander is going to have to carry some radio skills if you want the commander to be able to use the radio skills in the Kran, Emil 1 or Emil 2, wherever the radio goes for those. I think it's the commander. When you move those 3 crew in there, then the other 2 in the loader and the radio operator in your Strv K are going to be cooling their heels. So some of your crew members are going to be carrying double skills that won't be useful depending on which I was going to say aircraft, depending on which tank they are in. So you may end up in this case with just a dedicated rock and roll crew in your Strv K. You'll have to work that out yourself. I don't, it's kind of, maybe crew 2.0 will fix all of that kind of stuff. That's kind of the theory, but for right now, this is what we've got. In addition to that, I didn't mention it, but the crew will have a voiceover kind of thing, and that comes with the 3D skin. I don't have that, unfortunately, to show you guys right now, but you should see that coming out pretty soon, and that will be there's a second part of the marathon I didn't talk about where you can get that. Alrighty, so that's it for tech tree considerations. It's just the crew is going to be a little wonky. You're just going to have to make your decision, realize it's a heavy, not a medium, and that means it's going to be in either in a Mill 2, or Cron for the Swedes. You were already running into the same thing with your Primo Victoria and your Strv, 81. All right, let's move on to the 3D model. 3D model, and this is where we can start kind of talking about what I've alluded to a couple times about a weird, heavy, medium kind of hybrid tank. Look at that. Whole armor is essentially non-existent. It's about 90 millimeters on the top, and the only reason you're seeing more as I do this is because it is decently angled. Now, it is a pike nose, and it's also decently angled, so any kind of look up right there and you're getting into that top hole, you're going to start hitting auto bounce. But of course, it's got a very large lower plate, so why would anybody shooting there? However, if you happen to miss and hit there, you're going to get some good bounces. The turret, the turret is a Centurion 7.1-esque kind of turret. Has a couple things going for it and a couple things not. Going for it is it's quite thick, but there are spaces where it is not. You're looking at 235 right there. Spaced armor, but nothing behind it. This stuff is pretty thick around the edges. Some nice auto bounce angles here, but if you get any kind of look down on it, I will tell you, I had my turret absolutely shredded in this thing. If you could kind of keep it like this, it was pretty good. If they started look down, get a little bit of altitude on you, or they're a taller tank, ow, 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 to include your hatch, which is not huge. It's not Renegade kind of hatch or 110E5 hatch, but everybody knows it's there. It's an old turret design in the game, meaning that people have faced this a lot. While it's a new tank, it's the same old turret of a Centurion. People know how to deal with it, especially at high tiers, and they're going to ping, 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 ping right through that hatch and bang, 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 bang right through the upper plate or at any kind of look down angle. Just absolutely massacre the turret. The turret can work. It's not bad. 254. It's pretty good turret. A little bit of movement to avoid sniping hatches and that try to avoid getting any look down. But if your hull gets exposed in any way, or you come at them at an angle like this, oh boy, if you're trying to rely on that turret, it's no bueno. All right, so it's the Centurion turret. It's also very flat on the side. Quite useful at times, but it will let you down if you rely on it too much. It will let you down if you rely on it too much. All right, let's move on to a comparison, which is going to be interesting. All right, first things second. All of these are set up with no crew, no buffs, no debuffs, no equipment, no directives or anything like that. It's just the baseline tank with 100% crew, which actually gives it a little bit of a bonus because of the commander being 100%. So it's all the same baseline. You'll notice that we have a weird selection here. We've got the Strv, we've got the 103, which is a tech tree, the AE Phase 1, and the object. Now, I've included the 103 and the AE Phase 1 because they feel like kind of the same idea of a heavy tank-ish. The Object 777 is there because the AE Phase 1 and the Object 777 are both reward tanks, so they're not premium, but they are reward tanks. And then I've put the Centurion 7.1, which is what it looks like quite a bit. Remember, it's got the Kronwagen hull, but it is using the Centurion turret. And then, just for giggles, I put a Tier 8 Premium, which is probably an 8.5 tier tank, just to kind of look at it as compared to the Strv K. So, let's get into it. Very interesting. Strv K, 390 alpha. It's actually the second lowest if you include the Tier 8, one tier down Renegade. So it's only got a 390 alpha. Average pen, standard pen is good, not amazing, 252. It has an okay gold round. I want to say it's 310, I believe, at APCR. We'll take a look at that in a minute. Rate of fire is decent. Gun loading is fairly long. And let's just drop down here and take a real quick look at the DPM. Ouch. 2034. For what is a relatively squishy heavy tank. That's painful. The 103 comes in at 25, the A Phase 1 at 22. The 777 is worse, but it carries a lot better armor. And the Centurion 7.1 is better. That's the medium, folks. That's the Tech Tree medium. That is a very similar tank. It is coming in at a higher DPM. DPM is not the end-all be-all. It's the DPM that you can employ in the game that matters, but still is a baseline number. Very interesting. Oh, by the way, the Renegade has more at 2204. Let's take a look at the gun, though, because the idea of DPM is that it has to be employed somehow, so that takes into account the gun. Minus 10 on the depression, which is quite nice. 2.4 aiming is okay. Not as good as some, the 103 at 2.21, but the same as the Renegade. Fascinating. The dispersion is 0.33. This is where this tank, if anything of this tank shines, it's the gun. It's not bad. 0.33, pretty good. But it is crippled by a relatively long reload. 11.51, whereas the Renegade has 9.78. Right? And the Centurion itself, the Centurion 7.1, is actually faster reload with more DPM and a more accurate gun. You see why when I said earlier that I can't really... This thing has an identity crisis. It doesn't know if it's a heavy or a medium or both or neither. It's not even sure it's a tier 9. It's not even sure it's a tier 9. All right. Hit points, obviously it wins against the tier 8. That is kind of one of those arbitrary numbers for balancing that you can increase and decrease without worrying about it too much. I don't know if there's any calculation that has anything to do with reality and hit points that Wargaming uses. So it's at 1850, clearly better than the tier 8, but you get the point here. Oh my gosh, the whole armor. The Kron hull, as everyone knows, is pretty bad. The angling is good in certain situations, so only 90 with 70 on the side, which is okay for the side. We'll take 70. That's hard to overmatch, and that's a good thing. The turret armor, we talked about it. It's thick, but as far as its weaknesses go, there are some, all right? And then we come down into the mobility, and it is only doing 45. The Renegade, my friends, the Renegade, do I say it again? The Renegade is faster. This thing is saddled with a 670 horsepower engine for some reason that I cannot figure out. This hybrid heavy medium, this medium that's up jumped to a heavy, is somehow only 40 kilometers an hour fast. Now that's faster than the 103, it's faster than the A Phase 1, but it's the same speed as the Object 777, which has a whole bunch more armor. A whole bunch more armor. Did I mention a whole bunch more armor? Oh my goodness. The traverse speed is okay at 31. It's not uncomfortable. We did not talk about the turret traverse, which is actually pretty good at 37. We come down here, we look at the view range, which is good at 400. That's kind of medium tank-esque, actually. We look at the 7.1, somehow has 410, a little bit more, despite being the same hull. Centurion 7.1, I think, is slightly taller in there as well. So the spotting or the view range is actually quite nice. So what are we to make of all of this? What are we to make of all of this? That was my point at the beginning about how it's an interesting situation. So we've introduced a tier 9 premium tank. We've taken what was essentially a very medium tank kind of design. It stuck it on a heavy tank hull, which is one of the worst hulls for a heavy tank in the game. Turned it into a heavy tank altogether, which in theory is supposed to compete with a 103A Phase 1, 777, all that good stuff. It's arguably slightly worse than the Renegade in a lot of ways. And as a heavy, doesn't really match up very well with the other heavies. And even the Centurion 7.1, which you could argue is a heavy-esque medium anyway, especially with the turret and the way you play it, is still better overall. Very, very, very interesting. I think, as I mentioned, they already have the Primo Victoria as a medium with the crew in it. They've already done a collab with the band there. So I don't think they wanted to do another medium. They bring in this tier 9, which is a new special kind of thing. Big collab. They got a song attached to it. They're selling it as a premium. It's making credits. It's making extra experience. And it is making bonds, which is something that other tier 9s can't do. Used to be able to, by the way. They're kind of billing this as a super special thing, but we used to be able to get bonds, I believe, at tier 8 and 9 at least, right? For special awards and stuff. Anyway, that's a whole nother subject on that. But now you can get bonds with this thing. So it's, man, we've really kind of maneuvered in a lot of directions here. And the upshot of this, in my opinion, I like to kind of wrap up the compare vehicles thing, is you have a slightly below to below average heavy tank in the game, which is more of a collector's vehicle. And with the whole collab, it's not terrible. I'm not saying it's trash. I'm just saying it is below average at best. Below average at best. Okay, let's look at my stats. Well, I played 20 battles for you. The sacrifices that I make. I make it sound like it's such drudgery to play this game and make content for you guys. Help me, love me. Anyway, 60% win rate. Actually, a draw in there. A couple things jumped out at me, and I haven't discussed it yet. The dispersion is, I've got it down to 0.29. I'll show you my setup and how I got it to 0.29, which seems like very accurate and should be. I found that it just didn't feel like 0.29. It's one of those guns that just did not feel like it was that accurate. Not, sometimes I wonder, maybe because I think it's an accurate gun, I'm taking riskier shots. There could be a lot of that in there. That's very possible. So you'll have to let me know what you guys find with the gun. I just felt like it wasn't that laser accurate 0.29 that it really felt like, and there could be a lot of soft stat issues going on right there as well. So it was interesting. I say that because I'm at a 68.26. So it's probably me. Most likely it is. I'm taking riskier shots, maybe thinking I'm very accurate, doing a lot of pixel sniping on turrets, because the way you're going to want to play this thing is to avoid getting the hole out there. So I'm always kind of peeking up over the terrain or going behind rubble and, coming up over top, and everyone's trying to pixel snipe each other's 1 pixel of the hatch that they can pin and all that good stuff. At the end of the day, 68.26 is not good. I really want to be north of 70 and closer to 75. Low sample size, small sample size, only 20 battles, so we'll see how that goes. Fellas, my damage ratio is trash, 1,964, even for a 60% win rate. So that 60% win rate is not supported by my DPG so far. So I would say this could easily be 40% based on me only doing 1,964 a game. I just found with its DPM and its bad hull armor and its slow speed and the gun not working the way I want, I just had a hard time getting damage downrange. I really did. It just reloads, takes a long time to reload, and it was difficult. It really was. Some of the other guys, some of the other CCs, guys and gals, are doing some good work in it. With the accuracy of the gun, you would think that, if you can keep the tank alive to mid to late game, you're going to start doing some work. For me personally, I struggled a little bit to get it going, and that was much lower until the last probably 5 or 6 games where I had some decent games. We'll show you some of those when we get to the gameplay. Armor efficiency, very interesting, 0.49. That was down at 0.2, 0.3 for a long time. I had a couple games where I finally kind of got the turret to work. One in particular, I want to say I bounced 3,000 or 4,000 damage. I think I'm going to show you that for the turret, the good and the bad of the turret. So I think that jacked that up a little bit. But 0.49 is okay. That means the turret is working-ish when I need it. But that is almost all purely turret bounces and very little off the hold. Assist is okay at 470. And then vehicle spotted 0.85, destroyed 1.1. Those are all low. So my performance in this is relatively low. So far, 60% victories. This could have been anywhere from 40 to 60, really, because I think, the team's kind of carried me a bit right there. We take a quick look over here. We're at 24% on 20 battles, which is on track to one market fairly easily. I'm not burning anything up here with 1,964 damage a game. Let's take a look at my setup and we'll show you how. All right, I try-harded in this thing. So I took the crew. The crew is going to come with Brothers in Arms. Notice it's got the heavy metal thing going on. It's pretty funny, actually. Up there, the little symbol is the heavy metal thing. I'm assuming all the band collabs they have so far are doing that as well. Notice they have quite a few skills. You're going to get that one for free, and I think that's a 0 skill. As I recall, I felt like I was going, that first skill was going pretty quickly. I dumped one of the large books on these 3 guys. That was a huge mistake for the gunner, I think. I should have put it on the radio operator because I could have got some better skills, or even the loader. But in any event, these 3 got the 850,000 dumped on them. I had another book or 2 that I used, and these 2 guys are kind cooling their heels. The thing is, though, that these are the two that will drop out, the radio operator and the loader, if you use this crew for one of your other Tier 8, Tier 9, or Tier 10, the Emils and the Kranwagen. So that's kind of why I did that. That being said, I would have to rework these guys, whichever, I'm not sure where the loader goes on this. Maybe the driver, doesn't matter, but I would have to put those skills on one of these guys, and that's going to make, you know, skills for these guys a little more difficult. And then when they're in the Strv K, the skill won't work. But of course, that skill I'm talking about is down on these two who will be waiting for the rest of the band to come. These are the two guys, I guess, that have to clean up after the concert, and these are the senior guys that get to go party with all the girls. I don't know. I'm just making that up. Anyway, I used Vent's Rammer, and I used a Vert Stab. I used a Vert Stab Directive, and I ran food. Try hard to the max. 14 APCR, 29 AP, and 2 HE, and 2 large kits in there. I didn't light on fire at all, so that didn't seem to be a problem necessarily with this thing. You'll notice that I did go ahead and use free experience for field modification. We'll get into that in just a minute. That's something new for my reviews now, since we have that. And I actually did it with this tank. And I put a firepower slot to help out with the reload, because the DPM was just awful. So we come over here. That gets us to a 0.29 dispersion. Very nice. We're down to a 9.3 gun load on there, rate of fire up to 6.45, and the DPM up to a respectable 2,517. But realize, you put all that stuff on the other tanks that start with a higher DPM, they're going to have a higher end DPM, right? So yeah, that looks great right now, but other tanks can do a lot of that stuff too and end up with a better DPM. Jump into field mods. I actually used some. So I have the parallax adjustment. This gave me -3 to aiming circle size, -5 to aiming speed. So it can, if I click on this, it won't show me. Firepower, can we do that? There we go. All right, so I could have a 2.06 aiming time and a 0.31 dispersion. What I've chosen to have, and now it won't go, there we go, is a 0.29 and a 2.28 aiming time with all the bonuses on it. That seemed fairly comfortable. I also used the periscope electric drive. That's +3 to view range and +10 to stun, an additional stun. I will say this, I thought I wouldn't notice the stun that much. I did. A couple times I got stunned. I'm like, am I ever going to be unstunned? Like, well, dummy, you took this so you could get +3 view range and you get more stun. It's more than you think, my friends. It's more than you think. And then I used power output, which gave me +2 kilometers to reverse, but -10 to gun traverse. I thought the gun traverse was fine as far as the speed of it. It's not a problem at 37.01. That seemed like a no-brainer to me right there. All right, that was my setup. Let's take a look at some examples of gameplay for the Tier 9 Strv K, the newest premium in World of Tanks. Tier 9. Can you believe that? Tier 9. Here we go. Well, I lied to you. I wanted to show you the Spirit of War 3D style. Here it is. Oh, look at the little glowy bits coming off of that thing. Look at that. The Spirit. The Spirit is just coming out of that thing. Look at that. That's actually fairly cool. I mean, it's total fantasy, heavy metal. Look at the twist on the turret. You got the inlaid metal right there. There's a shield, Sabaton shield in the back. The Spirit of War is coming out of that bad boy right on. I just had it credited to my account so I can actually show it to you before, or show it to you here in the video. So that's actually really interesting right there. Look at the glint off of the different angles and stuff. That is a well done 3D style right there. We'll have to see in game if that actually moves around. I don't know, and we won't see it in the replays I have because I didn't have the style while I was doing it, but I wanted to show you that. That's pretty cool, man. I have to admit, that's actually, oh, look at the lights are on too. All right, man, check it out. You can see the glowing stuff in here in the exhaust. All right, Wargaming, I'm going to give it to you on that. I'm sure my more realism-minded people won't like it too much, but you have to admit that's pretty cool. All right, let's take a look at the replays. For the first example, I just want to concentrate a little bit on the turret and the things it can do and can't do. So I'm going to actually poke up here, and I'm going to get pinned immediately by a 113 or just blasts heat, and it looks like it goes right through the turret face here. It's actually hard to see, but you can see the spalling from the heat right there at the top. So it looks like it just went right through the turret. A little bit look down. Remember what I talked about right there? So not so good. Not so good. I've bounced nothing, and I've taken a bunch of hit points of damage. I shoot right into his turret. That's never going to do anything right there. And I bounce some. So there we go. We got our first bounce of 440. Makes it so he can't quite aim in where he wants to on me. So we'll just come in here and we'll just shoot this guy, and we'll bounce. We'll just bounce. That's fantastic. I'm going to switch over to number 2. And now we start messing around with this Badger and this IS-3-2 right in front of us, the double barrel. And if you can kind of spoil their aim a little bit and do some work, we're going to bounce off his turret. I'm just trying to go after his hatch, but that back angle is going to make that nearly impossible. The Badger's showing his lower plate, make him miss right there, but he's doing a nice job backing off when he doesn't have a shot. So I'm trying to not get hit by the 113, who's definitely looking to shoot me with the gold. The Badger bounces. Trying to get, there we go, where's the accuracy? Come on, baby. There we go, we sneak one down in there. I probably stayed there a little longer than I wanted to, for sure. And the 113 just waiting for me to give him another shot. The IS-3 then gets a shot into me. Looks like my turret was a little sideways, and that looks like, yep, it went into the side of the turret, so I took a shot right there with my turret a little bit sideways. And that's one of the difficulties when you're fighting several different angles of people. And I'm down to a one-shot, right? I'm in a hurting status. We'll just keep doing it, though. It's all in the name of science. Boom, boom, boom. 3 bounces, all of a sudden up to 3,500, right? 3,500. But I've taken a lot of hits trying to make this happen. And I just happen to get all those guys to bounce at the same time. So it isn't going to be easy. It isn't going to be easy, my friends. This turret, it can do work. But like most of the turrets in the game, it's got weak spots. There's another bouncer up to 3,900. Can't really there we go. I bait the AE phase 1 to take a bad shot. But you know, what am I doing here? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, am I gaining anything by this? 620 bounce from the Badger and the A phase 1 again, and we're up to 4,380, and then we're just in trouble because here comes this dude. We'll try to hit him once. Don't want to ram him too hard. We're at a whole 1,500 damage. Like, nope. Okay, I'm just gonna have to go down into this. Right straight down, because I'll be nicely looked down on that angled plate right there, and we end up dying. So 4,820 bounced at 1,822. I just want to show you that turret in action, right? Yes, we've bounced 4,820. No, it's not impervious. Next example. Okay, this time we're on Mountain Pass. See, I've come across here to this little brawling area. We've got a CS-59 in front of us. Trying to figure out how to get some shots in here, use the turret as much as possible, not expose that kind of bad hole any more than we have to. Sneak a shot into the Tiger 2 right there. This is the first game, and I want to say it was about the 10th game in, before I actually had what I would consider a halfway decent game, and this isn't even that amazing. It's high 2000s in the damage. Take a shot right there. And this is kind of how you want to play this thing. You want to try to just make sure the only thing really being seen is the hole. A little over angled on the Tiger 2 with enough pen with the APCR. We can go through the side right there. He doesn't like that, starts backing out, getting a little abused. Looking for a shot on the 50B. 50B disappears somehow right there, even though I'm looking right at him. Not really sure what happened. Now I'm spotted again, so somebody sees me, and the CS-59 catches me napping. Sneaks up there and takes a shot, and I think he probably went through the, yes. So there's that hatch, and look down. It's a fairly easy target. We're very close together. He's in a favorable position to do that to me all day. Won't matter how clever I am poking around that corner. He's just firing down into the hatch. My buddy makes a bad decision and kind of goes after them and eats a bunch of shots. The 65T backing out. I'd really like to get rid of this CS-59. The thing is, well, there's many things, but one of the things about this tank is that it's going to get heavy matchmaking, which means it's heavy, so when Matchmaker puts the heavies in, it is one of the heavies, and it just has a hard time with that. You're not going to be able to, in this case, to kind of go forward and rely on some armor. I have zero capability to go out into the open with the whole of this thing. I have to continue here. Hold down. Should have aimed to the side of the T-32. It's going to be really hard to pin that thing's turret. But if you shoot right at the mantlet, it's definitely going to be hard to pin that thing's turret. So we're making it happen here. We're trying to put a little shot. He gets another one on me. I get one onto him. So let's see where he got me this time. Did he get the hole, or did he actually go after the turret again? Somebody's put one in the lower hole, and hard to tell where he actually got me. Remember, the Centurions do have some kind of weak spots around the mantlet, not the mantlet itself. Try to go to the side a little bit, but I'm going to have a hard time doing anything to that guy. We're just hoping to get rid of this CS-59. As soon as we get rid of him, we can break this thing open. The rest of the game's going really well. There's not many of them here. So I'm at 1,897. Probably should have gone for the hatch and not the side of the turret. Waiting for this thing to reload. Maybe we can get one on him right here. There we go. And snuck it on there. Snuck it in there. We're at 2,131. Clean up on aisle 2, but really don't have the ability to push in, except that now there's only 2 of them. So let's do this thing. And the slow speed's going to crush me. Right? I'm trying to get to some hit points. Here we go. Charge in. We get one on the 50B. That's fantastic. Waiting for the reload. So long for this thing. Low DPM. Here we go. All right, great. We can poke out. Maybe shoot this guy. Yep, that worked. Good accuracy on the rocking back and forth kind of idea. And here we go. Right, we're gonna get to the hit points. Charge. This is like what's the movie with Mike Myers where he's on the Zamboni? And these guys screaming, and it takes 4 minutes of film to actually run them over. Charge. What is that movie? Why can't I remember it? There we go. We get one more shot on the Emil. Fantastic. Holy cow. We're going to speed this up. Takes us forever. Look at everybody. All right, so the VZ is faster than I am. The Centurion 7.1, faster. The 60 TP outdistanced me. A 60 TP went zinging by me. And somebody please help me understand why all of these tanks just stopped. I suppose I can sort of understand the 224 hit point and the 135. So funny in this game. Nobody wants to take a hit. Nobody wants to do it. So we'll just go ahead and we'll bounce off him. Push in after the tortoise. He doesn't know what to do. He can't turn on me. This is why you do that, right? Now he doesn't have any good options. I can come in here and kill the autoloader who's trying to reload in safety. And now we've got someone in behind everybody, and it's just a collapse. But I feel like, had I not moved, every one of those tanks would still be sitting on that corner attempting to shoot people. We end up with 2,951, so almost 3,000 damage. We get 4 kills out of it, which were mostly near-deads, picking on near-deads. And it was the first game where I really felt like I was able to do something, and it's a Rompelstomp. All right, let's take a look at a close one, though, where the accuracy of the gun actually comes into play and the turret action. All right, third example, we're here on Sand River. We spawned into the east side over there. I push in a little bit. There's an IS-7 down below. The Char Future is hanging out right there, but there's only 2 of us up here, and now we're starting to get outnumbered. I see the Skoda 56, and I'll turn around and ski-daddle. There's a couple of people asking me questions about it, so I was sending out some links and whatnot. Char's not in a great spot. IS-7's thinking about maybe getting in there and taking care of him. That Skoda T56 gets up above. We're kind of in trouble right there. So here he comes. Come back to life here in just a second. As soon as I figure this out, I get spotted. And now I'm back in the game. All right, the IS-7 is pushing in. He pushes the Char Future. I'm trying to maybe do something with the Skoda T56. This position isn't going to work. I'll take a quick shot. We miss. Then I realize I need to spin around and get to a place where I can hurt the IS-7 and hurt the T56, the Skoda, if he comes at us. So the IS-7 kind of pushes in on the Char, and they figure they got this poor guy. So here comes the Skoda. Let's start working on him first. Fairly accurate. This was a game where I felt like the accuracy was actually working for me for the most part. Waiting for the reload. I'm just like, please reload faster than that. Another shot onto him. And I'm thinking the Char is definitely dead, right? There's no way the Char survives this whole thing. But the Skoda puts a hit on him, and I'm like, oh, the Char's dead. We'll hit this. We'll hit the Skoda, and the Char gets away somehow. I don't know what's going on. He kills the and then the IS-7 looks at me. That actually went to the right of where I aimed. I think it hit the other side of the angled pike. I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I not get a penetration? And he wants to back out of this thing. I'm thinking, well, let me just kill this guy. Nope, let me just track him. Armor not hit, so it went into the track. It did track him, that was good. IS-7 doesn't want any more of us and starts running off, and I'm thinking, we'll just blind shot this guy. Got him. All right, so there's that guy down. IS-7 is thinking, all right, it's just this silly tier 9 thing and a char footer, so I'm just going to come up here and I'm going to pen the char footer and kill him. And I'm thinking, let me just put it, no, I'm not going to put a shot into him. I'm just going to bounce, and here comes the IS-7. I don't know why the char chased him. I thought we'd had a better chance if he didn't do that. He's trying to go around. We'll get a shot into the side and we'll back out, and now it's just time to run away. I didn't notice this 1390 hard charging in. I do appreciate it, because watch what he does to this guy. I'm just going to get out of here. I need to see if I can get some help by the guys behind me. I do get a pen on the way by. I know I'm going to out-reload him, not by much. The IS-7 does reload pretty quickly, so I want to be right here to shoot and run. Shoot and run. There we go. So we get out, and I'm thinking, oh, here he comes. And the 1390 shows up behind me. He's like, I'm going to go get this guy. And then he's like, no, I think I'm going to turn around and take on the 1390. And the 1390 says, nope, what you're going to do is get farmed. And we'll stop. Holy cow. That was quite the interesting little battle up there. Meanwhile, the rest of the team, back at the farm, nothing good is happening. Look at what's happening down there. Oh my gosh. Things are bad. Bad things are afoot, my friends. Bad things are afoot. We're going to turn around, though, and come back and see what we can do with the Sniperino on the gun. We see a guy cruising. I see it a little late. I'm like, put the brakes on. All right, IS-4. Let's see if we can hit this guy. Here he comes. Boom. Nope, we track. Oh, that's fine. All right, we pinned him down. That's good. We got him sitting there. We're a little bit looked down, so if we get on the upper plate, we have a chance here. Let's see what we can do. Good. We get a pin. I don't want to get spotted up here because I'm just out in the open. There's so many extra guys pushing in. There's a guy there. The Leopard does a fantastic job holding that spot and not dying. I mean, he really is linchpin right now. So I'll come up to this little area. We're at 2,761 damage. I'd really like to kill that guy if I could. There's two on, and then there isn't. So I think this guy decided to come off, and he gets thumped. Gotta like it. Accuracy works out. T-57 Heavy's down on the bottom there. I think he actually gets hammered. And then I see that guy. So we'll just boop. And somehow he turns his turret just in time to take it in the side of the turret. Otherwise, that would have been a bounce more than likely. So we got the 10 hit point Concept 1B, and we have started to even this thing up. And I'm thinking, all right, get a little altitude here. Maybe we can get a shot on the guy in the middle. Take a little shot there. Didn't work. Where is this guy? He's down in the low part. I'm wondering why the Leopard doesn't go get him, but there are a lot of guns waiting for the Leopard to come around that corner right there. And there's a Rhinoceronte. Is that a Rhinoceronte? No, it's not a Rhinoceronte. It's a Concept. There's the IS-4. Looking for a shot on that guy. Sorry, it's a Centurion 7-1 or 5-1. There we go. Watch this. Boop. Nice little accurate gun. We'll bail out for the Concept B. We'll just get down low so he can't shoot me again. I'm thinking about pushing up, and that's what we're going to do. So we gather a bunch of firepower. We get in there, take down the 5-1. The 57 gets the T-49. Big kill getting rid of the scout at this stage of the game. You really want to not have the scout beating up on you. And I kind of make a bad approach here. I get out in the open. If I had this to do again, I would have gone up this way, headed up here and come across, and then up into this upper spot, because what I'm going to find is, and it would have been fantastic hold down fighting right there. I'm thinking I'm going to go get a shot on the T-30. 1390 runs off, and then I get the Concept 1B, the T-30, and worst of all, the Standard B is going to end up getting up on this hill here, and he's shooting HE for some reason, which is very lucky for me. I need to be careful about knocking down too many buildings, because once all those buildings are gone, then I'm in trouble. Looking for a shot on him, and I think I take another shot from that guy. Yeah, there we go. That actually hits him. Fantastic. He nails me a couple more times with HE. Again, thank goodness. That guy's firing HE. Awesome. He starts taking hits, and now everybody's getting shredded. Boom, 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 boom. And this game will be over 4,000 damage. I think there's a blind shot. That's right. I killed the, was it a Su-101, I believe, in there with a blind shot. So I'm a little bit over 4,000. Got the engine damage. And that's pretty much it. Nice example of when the accuracy of the gun works. Good example of that for this one. Let's wrap it up. All right, well, so what's the final word then on the Swedish Tier 9 heavy premium tank, the first of its kind in World of Tanks? Well, we've crossed that Rubicon, the Tier 9 premium. We had reward tanks. Now we have an actual premium that will be for sale. That is a whole nother subject. As I said at the beginning, my opinion of that is okay. Here we are. As a tank in World of Tanks, as a Tier 9 heavy tank amongst other Tier 9 heavy tanks, it has a bit of it's a bit schizophrenic. It doesn't know if it's a medium, it doesn't know if it's a heavy, it doesn't do either one of those particularly well. It's a slightly below average tank, heavy tank at Tier 9 in my opinion, at best. One thing that I haven't mentioned and I think is kind of interesting with this is it's going to get heavy tank Matchmaker. Now, Matchmaker has been, in my opinion, much better in the recent past. I think it's not nearly as imbalanced as it has been. The skill piece, you guys, we can argue about that at some other point. I'm talking about the tank setup only in there. It doesn't take into account overpowered tanks, but just as far as racking and stacking and putting X number of heavies and mediums and kind of making more or less even in terms of classes, battles, it does a pretty good job. That being said, this thing sits in the heavy tank Matchmaker slot, so it's going to more than likely have another heavy tank on the other side of it, on the other team. And it doesn't really heavy tank, not very well. And it doesn't really medium tank, not very well. However, as a collab, as a pretty cool looking tank, it's definitely got that going on. You gotta love this 3D style right here. And that's all I've got. Let me know what you think down below. You guys can fire off and talk about the Tier 9 premium tank thing. I know I said I wouldn't talk about it. I know it gets a lot of people kind of agitated, I guess I would say. I think if you just look at it from the 50,000 foot view, in the wide scheme of things, it really doesn't matter. That the company's going to monetize as they will, and someone buying a Tier 8 premium or a Tier 9 premium, does it really matter at the end of the day? Is one or the other going to be more imbalancing to the game? If you don't want it, if you don't have the money, if you don't want to spend the money, by all means do your thing. But as far as getting in an uproar and getting the pitchforks and whatnot out, I don't see the point, in my opinion. So there you go. Call me a shill if you want. Go for it. At the same time as I say that, I'm going to say this is a below average tank, slightly below at best to below average tank, and that's just the way it is. All right, enjoy your Strv K if you do buy one. You will be getting bonds, you will be getting credits. That is a cool thing. If you like Sabaton, you got those guys up there. They have a voiceover. I think there's also some music involved, so that's cool for the Sabaton fans. Enjoy your tank. That's all I've got for my review. Let me know what you think down below. Guido signing out. See ya.